afternoon. You're listening to the Inspirational Parent right here on your hometown station, KHTS. I'm your host, Jasmine Urbina, here in the studio today with my dad and co-host, Alex Urbina. Hi, Dad.
How are you?
Good. We're also in studio with our amazing producer, Andrew Delgado. You don't have to say anything. I'm just going to let everyone know that he's here because he's going to chime in this episode. So today we're going to be talking about what's getting in the way of your child's full potential. Before we start, this topic just for me is kind of what jumped out at me was that maybe there's a possibility that as a parent, you guys probably as parents aren't really taking responsibility for what's getting in the way. And there's probably going to be a lot of people who are listening that are thinking, you know, that's their thing. That's, you know, that has nothing to do with me. And I think if I would like to invite the parents that are listening to kind of listen just from a how can I be responsible, or how can I help, or how can I assist in this, you know, just to be more effective as a parent and be able to be there and support your kid to reach their full potential.
Yeah, I agree. I think that when it comes down to parents, you know, through the last 20 years have asked me questions about their own kids and, you know, asking me about their own behavior patterns and how to help, or wanting to know why their kids are showing up in their life the way that they do. Quite often when I give them the answer, the parents don't look from the perspective of how could I have created that or co-created it. So what I'm hearing you say is you're asking the parents to listen from being open to the possibility that by living with their kids and being basically the role models for their kids and teaching their kids since they were little, that there's a possibility that some of these things that get in the way of their kids' full potential could have been co-created with the parent or through the parent.
Yes.
I love that. And with that being said, the number one question that I get from parents is, why do my kids do these things? Why do they show up this way? Why do they have these behavior patterns that aren't effective for them, that aren't, you know, them operating at their full potential? And a lot of what's underneath those behaviors are something at the core. And the crux of what's really going on is that your kids have limiting beliefs about themselves at the core that's getting in the way of them reaching their full potential. And let me give you an example. If your son or daughter is showing up in a negative way, you have to be open to the possibility that there are some limiting beliefs that are at the core of your son or daughter that they might have created when they were very young, and possibly in relationship with you or just growing up in your home. They might have created a limiting belief about themselves, like I'm not smart, or my mom doesn't care, or these whatever kind of limiting belief that the ego is going to create to help the son or daughter justify what's going on. And I want to preface that with, when your son and daughter, when they're little, their brain, it doesn't have the capacity to really make sense of what's really going on from a neutral perspective. So a lot of times what it does is it makes up stories. It'll make up a belief or a narrative about what's going on so that it could try to make sense of what's happening. And the common example that I give is when the little boy is really excited about something that they want to share with their mom or dad, and when they go to find validation or evidence to prove that they are proud of themselves, when they go around to try to get that validation, they go, Mom, Dad, look what I did. And the mom or dad says, not right now. In that moment, your son or daughter can't rationalize that not right now just means not right now. They can't see that as just what it is. They can't see it as neutral. What they do is they make up a story about not right now. What does not right now mean? When they're 5 or 6 years old, not right now to them means my mom doesn't care about what I have to share with her. My dad's too busy for me. Or what I have to say is not important. So what happens is the brain makes up these stories or negatives. We'll call them beliefs. And when they're a negative belief, it becomes now a limiting belief that gets in the way of their son or daughter's full potential moving on in their life.
Yeah, and I think that for little kids, they kind of don't, just from that example, you can use that little kid as an example. Little kids can't process or can't understand that the thing that you're doing is distracting you from giving them the love and encouragement and everything that they need. That's just
because in their world, whatever they're excited about is all that's important. It's all that matters. And when they come to you going, Mom, look what I did, and you go, hold on, or not right now, whatever you do other than making that moment more important than anything, it just justifies to them that I'm not important. What I have to say doesn't matter, and that my mom doesn't care about what I have to say. And so those limiting beliefs is the start of the dysfunction that happens as human beings, and why we aren't confident, that we're not self-loving, and we're not worthy to, take on a career or go after our dreams. And I think that the unconsciousness of us as parents or as human beings, no one teaches us about the limiting belief. I never learned it until I started my journey of consciousness, and I had mentors, and I had wiser teachers that gave themselves permission to teach me those kinds of things. Once I learned about the limiting belief, I got really excited to wanting to learn about my own limiting beliefs, because I wanted to be aware of what are the things that are stopping me.
Yeah, and I kind of can relate a little bit to, I definitely can relate to the limiting beliefs, because I know that I have my own, but I can also relate a little bit to the parent side of being unconscious and not being in the moment, and not, dropping everything and making that moment the most important moment ever. And I think that's kind of why, aunts and uncles and friends and everybody to your kids are always the ones that say, when you grow up, you say, oh, my aunt always supported me. That's because when you ran up to her when you were a kid and showed her your A+, she was the one to be like, oh my God, that's so exciting.
Right.
Because when it's someone else's kid and, you just want to share their joy and everything. But when it's your kid, I think maybe we take that a little bit for granted, and you see them every day, and you're the one interacting with them and not realizing that maybe you're the one that's creating the limiting beliefs. And so it is good and great to have those brothers and sisters that can be the aunts and uncles for them to be that way, but they're not always going to be around, and it only takes one time for you to shut them down, so to speak, for them to create that belief.
And we're not doing it on purpose as parents. It's just how it's unfolding in our relationship, because we are unaware, because we don't realize it, because no one has taught us that this is what's happening. And a lot of times it's what we say. Sometimes it's just in what we're doing. And I can give you another example. We could be walking by each other in the hallway, and when you're walking by your little boy or little girl in the morning and you're really busy, just you not putting eyes on them and giving them a smile as you walk by them is also sending a message. Imagine if your son or daughter is walking by you 2 or 3 times a day in the hallway or in the home, and you're not making eye contact. What message are you sending to them that's easy for them to misinterpret, right? I'm not important. I don't matter. I'm not here. I don't exist. You got to remember that we're communicating all the time, whether it's with words or just with our ability to connect with our eyes or with our smile, because we're always communicating. It's just a matter of, are we communicating consciously or unconsciously? But we're always sending messages. So that's the limiting belief. You got to be open to the possibility that my paradigm and the way that I see the world is created with nothing but beliefs. Not truths, but beliefs. It's a story I made up. It's a narrative. It's a conversation that I've created, that I live my life by. I'm not smart enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not whatever enough. And so we live our life out of that. And those limiting beliefs get in our way of us reaching our full potential, gets in the way of us believing in ourselves to a higher level, such that we're taking risks, we're going after our dreams, we're remembering how amazing we are, all those kinds of things. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to kind of play a game both with you and with Andrew, and just kind of throw out some ideas. What I'm gonna start off with is I'm gonna come up with a limiting belief, and then I'm gonna ask you to think of what some of the negative behavior patterns that could be happening and how the kid would be showing up in a home. And then I'll get your guys' answers, and I'll throw some of the stuff that I thought of, and then we'll just kind of have a roundtable about that. So if your son or daughter had a belief called, I can't be the real me without being judged by my parents, how do you think they would show up? What kind of behavior pattern would they show up in the home? I can't be the real me without being judged by my parents. What do you think they would look like in the home?
I think they would interact, maybe just hi, how's it going, okay, and then kind of be in the room.
So they would be short.
There'd be
They would
short
be
and
short
just shut off.
and exclusive and shut down.
Yeah, you avoid talking because you don't want to accidentally show, who you really are and end up being judged or, being, I guess, it's when your parents are like really critical of you and it's just you being you. It's like sometimes you could just walk in a room and not even really be doing anything.
Yeah.
You're just there, and then they start with their stuff.
So for you, it's more like avoiding. They would show up as avoiding.
Yeah.
What I came up with is they would show up as restrained. They would be suppressed. They'd be shut down. They might appear to be disconnected, and that they would also be they wouldn't be able to self-express themselves. They would be kind of expressiveless. So those are the behavior patterns. If your kids are showing up like that, you got to remember that there might be a limiting belief that's down at the crux, at the core of what's really going on. And a lot of times as parents, we like to address the symptom of them being depressed, quiet, avoiding, rather than trying to look at what's underneath it. Why do you think my son or daughter is showing up like that? What's the conversation in their head? What's that silent words that they're telling themselves at the core of that? And so that's what's going on there. Here's the next one. If they have a belief called, when I'm honest with my parents, I always get lectured or I get schooled. How do you think they would show up in the home or in their family or in relationships if they operate from, when I'm honest with my parents, I always get lectured or scolded?
Probably still quiet.
Yeah, still, like very quiet. Maybe they have before. Like they said, okay, they jumped over that first hurdle from the first one, saying, okay, I can express myself a little bit. But once they did, they got shut down, like maybe once or twice, and then they're like, I'm not going to express myself ever again because I always get shut down, or my ideas are dumb, or whatever it is.
Okay, so they'd be quiet. What else?
I don't know. I'm trying to think of possibly my own experiences because I know there's times where I am really excited about something and then somehow it turns into a lecture and I'm like, how did that happen?
Yeah. I just wanted to be honest.
Yeah, but I can see maybe expressing yourselves or sharing those things with other people that aren't your parents. So you find outside sources or outside people to.
So you would look for other people to share that with so that you felt validated and heard and recognized and maybe got the advice you were looking for rather than the people that you think that would be the first ones to give it to you.
Yeah, and sometimes the advice from other people like your friends isn't as valuable as the advice you could get from your parents.
Okay, that's great. What I wrote down was you'd be short, aloof, avoidant, standoffish, dishonest, or you would have no integrity.
Oh, yeah, dishonest. I could see probably even sharing the opposite of something that happened.
Right.
Or
Yeah.
if they say, oh, how was your night? You say, oh, yeah, it was good. And that's like the short. And then maybe you say you did something else. We went to the movies, but really you went out and you did some illegal stuff. I don't know. But
Yeah, but if you're a parent and you're wondering, why does my daughter go tell my sister all this stuff, and my sister comes back to me and goes, oh my God, Jennifer just told me all these things. And you're like, how come she doesn't tell me that? How come we don't have that kind of a relationship? It's a good possibility that at a certain point when she came to you being vulnerable and honest, you scolded her, you made her bad and wrong, you started lecturing her, and then she created a belief called, if I'm honest, I always get lectured or I always get scolded, right? That could be a limiting belief. That's a good one. Here's the next one. Every time I ask for what I want, I get told no without even it being considered, without even having a consideration. Every time I ask for what I want, I'm always being told without even it being considered. How do you think the kid would show up in the home?
I think for me, because this is something that I ask for, like I'll ask for a lot knowing that someone's going to say no, but eventually one of those requests is met. So if I keep asking, so maybe they'll show up, they just keep asking. So you think, oh, my kid asks for a lot, but maybe they're asking for a lot because they know that eventually you're going to say yes to one of them.
Okay.
Or it could be the opposite where they don't ask for anything at all.
So no more requests. They just shut down. All right. So every time I ask for what I want, I get told no without even it being considered.
Yeah, that can be a ways, but I could also see the ways from the parent side. I see the parent side more because this kid just does everything, asks for everything, but doesn't contribute or anything. When I bring up my own personal one, if I wanted something, I'd already know, oh, I would have to do this first rather than just ask. I'd do more chores or whatever it is. I'd cut the lawn, and then I'd ask for something rather than just ask for it and expect my parents to. And then that's how they said, you want this? Well, then you just got to do this first.
So you kind of already learned
Yeah.
the pattern that your parents negotiated with you to get what you wanted. What I wrote down was that the behavior pattern for the kids would probably look like they would show up sneaky, they would be taking things, they would steal, they would be hiding things in the room, or they won't be forthcoming about what they want and what they need because to them they created a belief like, why bother? They tell me no anyways, so I'm just going to take it. I'm just going to hide it. I'm just going to go and get what I want. I'm going to be sneaky about it because my parents don't even consider it. So you got to be open to the possibility, mom, dad, that your son and daughter might have a belief that why should I even ask for what I want or communicate that, because 9 times out of 10 it's no, without even, hey, you know what, let me think about it. And so you got to really be open to that possibility. If they've created that belief is what's warranted, and it's what's driving them from being sneaky, taking things, hiding things.
You know what I think too would be more powerful, even if you know you're going to say no, at least pretend to consider it.
That's what I'm
because
saying.
that's the part where we make up they don't even care.
That's right. And that's what I'm saying is that if you're looking at the request and you tell yourself, you know what, I don't have to necessarily say no all the time. Let me just be open to this.
Or I don't have to say no right away.
That's right. Or hey, give me some time to think about this. And even if it's a request that's going to be an obvious no, all your kids are saying is, hey, at least consider it. You don't even think about the possibility of what I'm looking for, what I really want, or what I really need. You're not even considering my feelings. You're just flat out saying no. So it's what's helping your son or daughter create that belief, and then they just give up. And then you're wondering why they're showing up the way they're showing up in your life. Here's the next one. If they have a belief called my mom or dad doesn't really care about me or what I'm really up to, how would they be showing up in the home? My mom doesn't even really care about me or what I'm up to. If they've already come to that conclusion and created that belief, how are they showing up in your relationship or in your home?
Distant, and then the parent would also be, my kid doesn't talk to me. But
now they're creating their belief, right?
Yeah.
Now the parents are creating their belief that,
like, why don't you ever open up to me? Why don't you just come to me for advice? And then all this plays into it where they didn't feel comfortable enough, or they don't care because they wanted to tell you something that happened great in their life, but you that one day didn't care, or were busy at work and brought that home and just shut off, or didn't ask like how is your day going? And then that just translated to, I'm not going to talk to you because you don't care anymore.
So for you, it's distant. They would show up distant.
They show up real distant.
Yeah, I think they definitely aren't going to share anything, but I also think when parents do how was your day today, or what are you up to kind of thing, personally, I hate it when people say, oh, what are you up to? I haven't seen you in a long time, or, what's going on in your life? And I'm like, well, if you haven't seen me in a long time, you don't know what's going on in my life, you actually probably don't really care. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I kind of make that up. Like, if a friend or a family member says, oh, last time I saw you, you were doing this. And I was like, oh, that was like 3 projects ago. Like, I've done so much since then, and you're only connecting with me now because you're here. Maybe because we're awkwardly sitting at the table together, or, we just happen to be standing next to each other at an event or something. So for me, I don't like when parents or anybody, so if I'm the teen or I'm the kid, I probably wouldn't want my parents to check in with me so late on in the game, if that makes sense. Like, I think if you're checking in with your kid constantly, like every day or every couple days, just to see what's going on, that's a constant reminder that you care, if that makes sense.
It does. It actually creates a whole new belief. What you just created was a whole new belief. Like, if you're checking in with me and a lot of time has gone by in between that, then you don't really care anyways. So why ask? So that's like a whole nother belief you just created. That's not real. It's not real that your mom and dad don't really care. It could just be that they've been so busy or have so much on their plate that they haven't been present or made a conscious effort to check in with you. But you've already made up a story that if you're coming to me already 3/4 of the way inside of what I've been up to, and you're just barely asking me now, then you don't really even care. And that's not true. And that's a great point, is that your kids are making up stories and beliefs that aren't necessarily true. that's the whole gist of this conversation is, wow, if my kids are making up these stories, how can I be more aware of that? And I could now have conversations with them to try to figure out what those are so I can course correct those.
Well, there's also parents that could say, "Oh, my kids are going to make up whatever they want anyway,
That's
so
true.
why bother?"
That's true, but that's the unconscious parent who just has surrendered to, I can't make a difference anyways, rather than, no, I can make a difference if I'm able to get them to share that with me and open up, and I'm willing to create that safe space to have that dialogue. Then I can go in there and course correct some of that. I can go in there and let them know that, hey, I'm sorry that you feel like that, or you made up that story or that belief, but that's not really what was going on. Let me explain to you what was going on at that time, so that we can create now a more empowering belief rather than the disempowering one that you keep creating, and I can't live up to it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I real quick too before we have to go on the break. I also think that there's a lot of kids that are not. They're not present. They're not present either. So they're not seeing that you're busy. They're not seeing your whole life and your whole everything. So don't push that onto your kids. Don't push your bills and your problems onto them. For me, I feel like you have, as a parent, have a responsibility, and this is just me, I guess, projecting my beliefs onto the parents, but I feel like you guys, as parents, have a responsibility to your kids not to push those things onto them,
or at least be aware of them so that you can course correct them, or you can make sure that you're doing a better job at not projecting.
Yeah, I just felt like you were kind of trying to, be nice and defend the parents about them being busy, and I just wanted to point out that as a teenager, or as someone that's still kind of going through that stuff, not that I don't care, I do understand that you guys are busy, but don't push that on to me when those are your responsibilities or your things that I didn't ask to be my responsibility. So,
and that's what that's how millennials think. Millennials think like, I don't care if you're busy or not. You had me. You're responsible for it. You need to figure it out.
Right. And he's laughing because it's true.
I get it.
We'll talk about it when we get back from the break. Stay tuned for more of the Inspirational Parent right here on your hometown station, KHTS.
The best live theater can be found right here in the Santa Clarita Valley. The Canyon Theater Guild has been entertaining audiences for decades with top-quality musicals and plays. Located in Old Town Newhall, the CTG also offers workshops for the young actor in your family. For more information, call the box office at 799-2702 or go to canyontheater.org.
Mission Valley Bank puts the community in community banking. They strive to be your most trusted bank. Mission Valley Bank is happy to sponsor KHTS Holiday Music. Happy holidays!
KHTS Holiday Music also brought to you by Chiquita Canyon.
From all of us at Chiquita Canyon, we'd like to wish you and your family a happy, prosperous holiday season. This year, Chiquita Canyon is proud to sponsor holiday music on your local hometown station, KHTS. Happy holidays.
The Black Square, where everything's always made from scratch, always farm the table, and always organic. We offer artisan pizzas, delicious burgers, and creamy superfood shakes. The Black Square has a great selection of over 27 California craft beers to satisfy any palate, as well as craft sodas and organic teas. The Black Square provides a full-service, plant-based, friendly, and omnivore menu. Dine in, take out. You choose, we provide. The Black Square, breaking free of the chains. The Black Square Cache Public House on Cinema Drive between Railroad Avenue and Valencia Drive.
I love it.
Right on!
Your hometown station.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Inspirational Parent right here on your hometown station, KHTS. Today we're talking about what's getting in the way of your child's full potential.
Yeah, and we talked about the limiting belief that's at the core of how your son or daughter might be showing up in your relationship or in the home that might not be, effective in their life or effective in as the results that they're going after or their goals. And you're wondering why. Why does my son show up like this? Why are they being like that? And I'm trying to explain to you that it could be possible that they have some limiting beliefs about themselves that they've created while being in your home, while you raise them, some narratives, some conversations that they've created, like these rules that are in their paradigm that aren't necessarily true. But if you knew about them and you talked about them and they were conscious and aware and they've identified some of those things and they shared it with you, you guys can have some powerful breakthroughs. You can course correct some of those things. One of the beliefs that we talked about before we went on the break was, Mom doesn't really care about me or what I'm really up to, so why bother? And then you guys shared the behavior patterns that they might be showing up in the home, and I wanted to get to mine. Some of the behavior patterns that I came up with is that they won't be open and forthcoming with their lives to you. They won't share that kind of information. They won't share anymore or tell you of their goals or their dreams because they've already created a belief that you don't really care, so why would I really want to share that with them, because it's just going to fall on deaf ears. And then they've also created evidence that, what it really boils down to is that you're not really living your life interested in what they're up to in the first place. So here's the next one. When I trust people, they use it against me. If they have a belief called, when I trust people, it's always used against me, what are some of the behavior patterns? How are they showing up in their life, operating from that kind of a belief?
Well, I think, one, they're not going to share those things anymore, but also, two, I think they kind of operate more out of fear in their sharing, because they're thinking, a part of me wants to tell you this, but the other part of me doesn't want you to bring it up later or use it against me later. So I can kind of see how there's fear in their sharing.
Okay.
Yeah, I was kind of like, I wasn't sure what that was, but Jasmine's explanation and that, yeah, because being vulnerable, it's not easy. And then if I'm going to do that, I don't want you to bring that, back at me. And I guess, yeah, fear is basically what fuels that limiting belief.
Got it. For me, the behavior pattern would look like they show up untrusting. They show up as withholding more information to you, and they'll be withholding certain details about stories, so their stories are going to sound kind of short, and it's not going to be too much detail, because if they give you too much detail, they're afraid that later on it's going to come back to bite them. You're going to hold it against them, or when they ask you if they can go somewhere, you're going to go, hey, remember the last time we did that and you shared with us that you took advantage of our trust? Or so they might show up as they're going to hold certain details, and they're not going to be forthcoming with the information all the way through. They also might show up isolated to themselves, disconnected. They also might show up a little bit like a loner. If you're wondering why your son or daughter is a loner and they don't open up and share, it's probably because they have some distrust, and it's wrapped around a belief called, when I trust people, people always use it against me. So as a parent, you got to really look at yourself and go, man, maybe I've done that before. Maybe my son or daughter have shared stuff with me, and I didn't take it for face value and let them know, hey, I really appreciate you sharing that with me, and I'm going to hold that sacred, and I'm not going to come out later on and just keep harping you with it and keep holding you in that box. The next one is, I'm not smart enough, talented enough, or good enough. This is one of the most common self-limiting beliefs that kids or human beings create when they're young, is that I'm not enough of something, not smart enough, talented enough, good enough. We're always judging ourselves, especially young girls, because they're always looking at and measuring up with their friends, or they're just and I'm sure someone's gonna jump on Facebook and go, guys do it too, because I always make a comment like that, and then I'll have the girls, especially all my girlfriends, are gonna be calling me, texting me going, guys do it too. Absolutely, guys do it too. It's just a human thing. We measure ourselves and we judge ourselves, and so we operate from, I'm not enough of something. So how would the kids show up in their homes?
Yeah, that's a huge limiting belief, is the I'm not smart enough kind of deal. And it's so much, if you hear it once, then you're like, okay, I'm not smart enough, but I'm smart. But if you keep hearing it, or whatever way it looks like, you're going to start believing that. And then that's going to hinder you from trying new things, because you're already going to say, I'm not going to try that because I'm not smart enough, or I'm not going to excel in this, so I'm not smart enough, so why even try? And then so that's just going to put him down, and you can see your kids just being kind of unadventurous, I guess.
It's a great
in
word.
some sense.
They don't
Because
take risks. Yeah,
because they already, like, why even try that? Because I know I'm not smart enough or I'm not skilled enough or whatever it is. But they totally can be. It's just that's that belief, that limiting belief that they already have.
So they're going to be hesitant.
Yeah.
They're going to play it safe all the time, right?
Yeah, scared of things, or you get kind of that scaredy cat like mentality, but that can just be really damaging because they don't have that self-confidence enough to do things.
Yeah. Hey, do you want to play some sports this summer? No, I'm okay.
Yeah.
Just want to play video games, right?
Yeah.
Hide out and play video games where you're not being judged and you can just quietly lose and not have anybody challenge you or make up stories about you not being good enough.
Is that why kids play video games?
Possibly. I mean, we can sit here and be psycho.
that could be.
I know that
yeah.
because they're
But
fun, but
we can sit here and psychoanalyze it all day long or be junior therapists, but it's a good possibility, right, that they don't have to take risks and be judged. You can sit in your living room and just go over and over and over again to get to the next level, and no one's going to make fun of you or put you down because it took you 1,000 times to get to the next level. You can do it in silence and in a quiet place where no one else gets a look at that.
Yeah, I liked what Andrew said about not taking risks and not being adventurous. I think that a little part of it also kind of circles around if your parents aren't constantly telling you that you're smart. This sucks, but if your parents aren't constantly telling you that you're smart, who's going to tell you? You're not going to tell yourself because you're a kid, and like you said, you're constantly judging yourself. You know, your teacher has 30 other kids in their class. They're not going to tell you every single day that you're smart. So somebody has to do it because as a kid, you're not there yet to do it yourself. And I think by not doing it, unfortunately, what it's saying is that you're not smart. And you know what I mean? Like, you don't have to necessarily say to your kid that they're not smart or insinuate that they're not smart, but by not communicating to them that they are smart, it's kind of just, it has an opposite effect.
Well, this is the premise of my book, The Inspirational Parent, is that your job is to inspire your kids. It's to speak to their greatness. It's to constantly remind them of how great you see them or how great they can be or the higher level that you hold them at. It's to constantly be empowering them rather than being the parent that is trying to fix them or make them live your life or make them, make choices that makes you feel better about yourself as a parent. It's reminding yourself that your job is to teach your kids, but the newer kinds of kids, the way they like to be taught is by building them up. It's by inspiring them. And if you are a conscious parent, you're realizing that that's way more effective than trying to control them or muscle them or guilt them or try to force them to live the life that you think that they should be living. What I wrote down was if they're operating from that I'm not smart enough, talented enough, or good enough, they would show up in your home as that they would give up easy. They would surrender real easy to things. They don't try new things, like you said. They're unmotivated. They have low self-esteem. There's no confidence down deep, and that they're self-doubting. They're always doubting themselves because they haven't created a belief that they can do things, that they are a champion. And so those are some of the things that they would show up in your home. The last one I wrote down is if they had a limiting belief called I'm ugly, I'm fat, I'm too skinny, I'm too tall, or I'm too short, what kind of a behavior pattern would have them show up in their home if they're operating from that belief system?
I definitely think that they would be maybe show up a little bit less expressive in the sense that they probably wouldn't, wear, cooler or funkier or crazier clothes, and they probably wouldn't.
They wouldn't be as audacious
they wouldn't take risks in their appearance because they have all these beliefs.
I can't wear that.
Yeah, or I can't pull that off, or I'm too tall for that, I'm too short for that, or a million different things. But I also think a little bit of those beliefs come from walking out of your room and your mom or dad saying, "You're going to wear that,"
right?
Or "That's not what you're wearing, are you?"
Yeah.
All those things.
Even in elementary school. No. Take those boots off. Go put on your tennis shoes. That doesn't match. I mean, right out the gate when they're little like that, we don't realize as parents we're part of the process of them creating these limiting beliefs about themselves, and it's not purposeful. It's not intentional. It's just coming from just the interaction that we do as human beings.
And I think some of those things that the parents do are not, part of me wants to say that some of the reason why is because they're selfish. They don't want their kid to walk out with little boots on that don't match because
then
they're embarrassed.
they're going to be embarrassed. Or, God forbid, you walk out with that dress and it's all wrinkled.
Right.
Then I'm going to look like I'm a bad parent because I let you walk out of the house wrinkled like that.
And they don't realize that the repercussions of that are worse than you being embarrassed for 15 minutes.
That's a great point. I like that.
Yeah, I just piggybacking off of that. Yeah, it's just back to that risk thing, and showing up and taking risks or being confident enough. They're going to show up exactly the opposite, not doing that, not taking those fashion risks or whatever it is. Or they might wonder why they wear the same thing every day because they're comfortable with that and they don't want to wear anything else. They know that works, or the same style or whatever it looks like. And then just being not confident enough to do anything or go out in the world because the world sees them as ugly because that's what they believe.
That's how they see themselves. Yeah. What I wrote down is that they're going to be unmotivated. They're going to want to hide out. They won't engage. They won't participate. They won't open up. They're going to be afraid. They're going to be quiet. They'll show up as shy. They're going to be hesitant. And they're going to be self-conscious of themselves. They're going to have a low self-esteem, no confidence, self-doubting, and all those other things that we as parents wonder why our kids are showing up like that. And it could possibly be that they have these self-limiting beliefs about themselves, and those self-limiting beliefs to them are real. As much as we really look at a belief as just a belief, our beliefs are real to us. We really feel like that. I really feel unimportant. I really feel not worthy. I really feel like I'm not pretty enough. I really feel like those things. So it's real to them.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of parents too, I can see them kind of thinking to themselves like, oh, why does my kid believe that? Of course they're smart, or of course they're pretty, and of course this and that. But it's equivalent to some of your self-limiting beliefs too, or some of your fears, or a lot of parents. This is just the one thing I can think of parents always complaining about is money, or being afraid of is not having enough money. That's a real fear for you. It might not be a real fear for your kid because they don't have the pressures that you do,
right.
But that doesn't mean it's not real.
Absolutely. Now we're going to play a different game. We'll go as long as we can until we have to break. But what I'm going to do is the opposite. I'm going to throw out an actual behavior that your kids could have, a negative behavior or an ineffective behavior for them, and then I'm going to ask you to come up with a limiting belief that might match that. And then I'll start off by giving you mine just to give you enough time to think of something. So if your son or daughter shows up depressed in the home, what kind of a limiting belief or what kind of a narrative or story you think is underneath that? What I came up with is nothing I do is good enough. I can never do it right. And if I operate from that, I will show up depressed.
Mine would probably be nobody cares about me. No one would even notice if I wasn't here.
Nice.
Yeah, my interests match nobody's, and I'm pretty much that loner kind of person.
Got it. The next one is shy. If your son or daughter is shy and they're showing up like this as a behavior pattern in your home, what kind of a belief do you think a self-limiting belief is at the core of that? What I came up with is I'm not as smart, talented, or interesting enough like my brother or my sister. So then, therefore, I show up as shy in the home.
Probably I'm weird, and I don't want to say something that people are going to think is weird.
Beautiful.
I'm weird. No, I'm not funny. I don't get that laugh. I don't get that acceptance that people want me there.
Nice. The next one is stubborn. If your son or daughter is stubborn and they're showing up like that as a behavior pattern in the home, what kind of limiting belief as a possibility could they be operating out of? And I wrote down is, if I give in, I have failed. If I own up to it, I'll just get in trouble. Giving in is a sign of weakness.
I was going to say that I'm weak. If I'm not strong, or if I do what they want, or if I give in to what they're saying.
Yeah,
I'll be saying,
pretty much mentioned that. Yeah,
okay. All right, so we're in agreement. That's right down the line, just black and white, right? If your son or daughter is lying, if they're showing up as a behavior pattern as they're lying quite often in the home, you can't get them to tell the truth. I wrote down, if I tell the truth, I just get in trouble. There is no benefit to telling the truth. No one cares if I tell the truth, so I might as well lie until I get caught.
I would say coming from a place of fear, being afraid of not being punished, really, being in punishment, Because if you tell the truth, you know that punishment's going to come. So it's just better of just to lie, I would say.
Maybe they feel like they're not interesting, so they have to lie to make people interested in what they're up to, or what they're doing.
Another thing I just thought of right now is if they have a belief that lying, let me say it a different way. If you grow up in a home where you're caught lying and then your parents explain to you the benefits of telling the truth. Like if you tell the truth, people are going to trust you. If you tell the truth, people are going to respect you. If you tell the truth, you're going to be honored. You're going to be celebrated. People are going to want you on their team. People are going to see you as the person that they want to be around. You're going to be attractive to people if you tell the truth. So maybe there's a possibility that we don't teach our kids when they're little the values and the benefits that come with telling the truth. And a lot of times we harp on the lying. We give lying more attention rather than telling the opposite, which is telling the truth.
Yeah, and I think that stems from something small and it grows into big. Because if you say you get in trouble, you did something bad, and then you lie about it, and then you're gonna be more inclined to lie rather than tell the truth, because you know telling the truth will get you punished, and lying will just brush it under the rug or whatever it is.
Yeah, and then I have people don't open up and share, and then I wrote down the last time I opened up and shared, they used it against me. I won't do that again, right? Now you create a new belief that that's not going to happen again. Or every time I open up and share, I get in trouble. Or why should I open up and share when my parents don't even open up and share themselves? As an underlying core belief that would have them not opening up and sharing with you. And I know that's one of the common complaints that parents have is my son or daughter, they go to the room and hide out. They don't tell me anything.
Yeah, I feel like it probably comes from not feeling like their emotions or their opinions or whatever are valued, or that they're even validated, that they're real. Maybe you feel like they're stupid. Your parents it's probably easy for your parents to say, oh, of course, that's ridiculous. But to me, that's everything.
Right.
Yeah, I just agree with that. I mean, you pretty much said it, so I agreed with you.
Okay. What about a know-it-all? Kids that are know-it-alls. I wrote down, if I know more than you, you can't make fun of me. Or if I'm smarter than you, you will respect me. If I have all the answers, you have to listen to me. Or if I have to know all the answers to actually be accepted. I think those would be some of the core beliefs down at the core of that for all those kids that always have the right answer or always chiming in. You know those kids that come in and they're just, it's like they always have to get that last word in, and people are kind of rolling their eyes like, there he goes again, or there she goes again. It's right, those know-it-alls. What do you think is at the core of that?
I think they feel like they need to know something or have the answer to something to be respected or to be...
to seek your approval, right?
Yeah, right.
And I would say that seeking your approval, but maybe those kids that are lying that, oh, my dad invented this, or trying to have that approval put on that pedestal.
To impress.
Yeah, to impress.
They're constantly learning more information to regurgitate so that they can impress you, to be liked and approved of.
And at the core is just to be liked, but that limiting belief is if I have something better than you, or if I know something that know it all,
then I one up you. Then I one up you. I got you, right?
Yeah.
All right. What about kids that show up doubtful and pessimistic? The limiting belief underneath that, I wrote down, I can't get my hopes up because the last time I did, I was let down and disappointed. If I don't expect the worst, then I won't be disappointed. I don't deserve it anyway, so I lost hope for the best. What do you think's underneath the doubtful and the pessimistic? Why are kids showing up in their homes always doubtful and pessimistic? They're never really looking for the reason why you should. They're always doubting themselves.
I think mostly they just have given up hope, so they believe that if I don't expect it, or if I don't want it, or if it's not real, then I don't have to be disappointed.
Okay.
Yeah, and all that hurt and everything that goes with the disappointment, I can just already put that on myself rather than having hope and then it just gone. So I'm already going to feel bad before I feel bad and worse later.
So you're just going to shoot yourself in the foot before it even gets to that. What about kids that are acting out to get attention or approval from others? I wrote down, I'm not good enough. unless other people say so. So then I'm always seeking their attention. Or who am I to be so talented, pretty, or smart enough to actually achieve success? If my mom or dad is happy for me or proud of me, then I've succeeded. So they're operating from a lack of their own self-approval and their own self-worth and their own self-love, such that they're trying to get it from other people. They're trying to look for it from external sources.
Yeah, I think you pretty much summed it all up, and it really comes down to wanting to be liked and to have that approval and to have somebody basically say that they're important and be validated.
When we come back from the break, why don't we talk a little bit more about how to overcome the self-limiting belief and why most people do what they're doing.
We have to take a quick break, so stay tuned for more of The Inspirational Parent right here on your hometown station, KHTS.
Come join me, Arif Halby, for Total Financial Solutions Safer Money Hour. Every Tuesday at noon, we uncover ways to help you manage your money, get out of debt, and prepare for your retirement. That's every Tuesday at noon on Total Financial Solutions Safer Money Hour. Are you not sure if you can retire yet? Listen to us and learn about tips for savings, retirement strategies, and so much more. That's every Tuesday at noon on Total Financial Solutions Safer Money Hour on your hometown station, KHTS.
Drugs or alcohol abuse can tear a family apart. In Santa Clarita, just like everywhere else, it's an epidemic. The Way Out Recovery is here to help. Call them now at 296-4444 or visit them on the web at thewayoutrocoveryscv.com. The Way Out offers outpatient treatment for adolescents, adults, and family members. The Way Out is compassionate, caring, professional, and confidential. You and your family don't have to suffer any longer. Call The Way Out Recovery now, 296-4444, or visit thewayoutrocoveryscv.com and make an appointment. Asking for help is the first step.
The Santa Clarita Artists Association has a new gallery in downtown Newhall on 6th Street between Main and Railroad, right across from the Canyon Theater Guild. The gallery features our members' paintings, sculptures, and one-of-a-kind handcrafted gift items. Whether you're an art lover, buyer, or an artist wishing to join, visit our website at santaclaritaartist.org, come to our free monthly meetings at Barnes & Noble, or stop by the gallery. For upcoming events and exhibits, check us out at santaclaritaartist.org. We make visual art visible.
The magic of the Christmas season comes to life on stage with Santa Clarita Ballet's production of The Nutcracker. This captivating and thoroughly entertaining holiday classic, performed by Santa Clarita Ballet, features characters that delight audiences. Travel with Mary and her Nutcracker to the land of sweets, where she meets the Sugar Plum Fairy. Performances run Saturday, December 16th through Sunday, December 17th at Santa Clarita Performing Arts Center at COC. Call 251-0366 or visit santaclaritaballet.net.
The most charming restaurant is now in Santa Clarita. Marston's Restaurant has been a Pasadena landmark, voted the best breakfast in California by the Food Network magazine, open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Marston's also has a fantastic catering menu that adds a delicious twist to any event. And they cater picnic dinners for that memorable romantic date. Experience Marston's on Newhall Ranch Road in McBean, or log on to marstonsrestaurant.com.
Get ready. LA Zoo Lights is back, and it's merrier, cheerier, and brighter than ever. Explore a wonderland of dazzling lights, festive food and drink, and creative displays inspired by the animals. For the perfect holiday night out with family and friends. LA Zoo Lights, LA's brightest holiday tradition. Nightly, November 17th through January 7th. Visit lazoolights.org.
Hometown, your hometown station.
Welcome back. You're listening to The Inspirational Parent right here on your hometown station, KHTS. Today we're talking about what's getting in the way of your child's full potential. And before we went on the break, Dad, you said we were going to go over how to overcome those limiting beliefs.
Yeah. The first way to overcome a limiting belief, and I'm going to make the assumption that you're the one that has the limiting belief, it's to discover the limiting beliefs that you actually have. So it's to be aware of them, it's to notice them, to become highly aware of them first, write them down. It's actually to expose them. unconsciously our ego doesn't want us to actually look at that. So every time we look at it and we kind of try to reflect and discover what they are, your ego's like, no, you don't need to pay attention to that. Just don't worry about it. I got control of you, and I'm going to kind of help guide you. So it's to really be aware of them and kind of write them down and go down that tunnel and start digging out, figuring out what some of those are. Because once you become aware of what they are, then you can actually change them. You can actually swap them out. You can redesign them. The next thing is create affirmations that contradict your limiting belief. Create affirmations that will counterbalance or disprove those self-limiting beliefs that you actually have. And then the next thing is to repeat the affirmations out loud daily to replace the limiting beliefs with new empowering beliefs. And then for parents, your job is to ask your kids open-ended questions like, do you know how amazing you are? Or, hey, what did it take for you to actually overcome or to break through that? Or your job is to ask the question that leads your kids down that road for them to actually say to themselves, wow, I had to really dig down deep and find the courage for me to overcome that. Or as the parent, you're going to be the facilitator to ask those questions to help your kids reflect and figure out what part of them they had to actually access, that warrior inside of them that they had to muster up or summons out to have that breakthrough. And then the last thing, wow, run out of time that quick. And then the last thing is why most people won't do this, why they won't follow these tips on how to overcome. It's too much work. It's easier to bitch, moan, and complain about the problem. People are in denial. People avoid looking at it, pretend that it's not a big deal or that it's worth the time to course correct. And last one is people are totally unaware of what's going on.
That's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for joining us today on the Inspirational Parent. We're here every Friday from 12 to 1 p.m. right here on your hometown station, KHTS.